Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. I am TheologyMatters. You can call me Eli, and for my people in District 6, I am The Anomaly. So, let's start out with the disclaimers. Thank you all for who have subbed after the apologetics video I did that I got from the lady from RCIA. I will fortunately tell you all, if you're Catholic at least, her 5 children have joined the church this Easter. So, yippee-ki-yay. Other than that, I am kind of producing more content. I'm sorry that I kind of slacked off. I've kind of been writing in the past or outlining, but it's for the book. So I've kind of been focusing on that, and then I kind of forgot to do this, and then I got lazy because I'm male. I'm human, but male kind of screws me up there. I also had to do a lot of I will be sorry to tell you all. This one is a bit more mathematical, and I swear it's because of the fact that I was in school for being an engineer, so everything I do there's math. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Not really. Oh, I thought I wasn't recording for a minute. Whoa, we're good. So anyways, excuse me. There's Maggie. She's joining us. Say hi, Mags. She's asleep. Or no, she's awake. She just doesn't listen to me. Unless if I have food. Anyways, we're gonna get cracking because I don't think there's anything else. This video should be out Wednesday, assuming that my post was correct. Yeah, sad news for all Catholics. Pope Francis went home, hopefully, assuming that we do our job as well. So, anyways, I'm pretty sure that's it. Except whatever YouTuber asks you to hit that big red button, it says subscribe. Hit that for me. Hit the on it. Well, preferably this one, but if you're gonna hit this one, at least write a comment. Let me know why. If it's because of the fact that there's a lot of graphs today. Again, not sorry for that. Kind of engineer. Can't help it. So, anyways, so we're gonna start out with the story. So why is this video coming to fruition? So the reason the story is coming to fruition is because of, funny enough, this, not my body. What's on it? The shirt. This was actually because I don't know if I've actually gone into the story of running, but I'm running for 2026, not 2024. Obviously because it's 2025, and I am not a state rep. However, when I was in doing the run for the 2024, I'm 23, or I wasn't even 23 at that time. I'm going into politics, I know I'm young. Hence the anomaly. It has a multi-use definition. It means I'm young. It also means that I'm an engineer. Like, I literally have 2 degrees in engineering. Why am I going into politics? Because engineering is basically solve problems. So it's kind of universal to some degree. But anyways, when I was cataloging the ages, because I know I'm young, which I found out was about 52 for the state house in 2022, which is just like double my age. So yeah, explains a lot. So, but anyways, I was finding that the average age, right? I found the average age, but I had to go to each like senator or representative, and I had to find like their name, then type that into Google, search them, find like their wiki where they had like their birthday, and then put their year in. And I couldn't find a few. But what I was noticing is I was doing all this on like Ballotopedia, and when I hit into their stuff, hardly anyone was contesting them. Even in District 6, my current rep, Rusty Cornwell, he has his one since 2018, no challengers. Got contested in 2018 when his OG run. Let's go with that. In 2018 by a Democrat. That's it. And this is Oklahoma. It's a fairly red state, although it's a fake red state, but we'll move on from that. It's a red state. So obviously he won, but then no one's come after him except in 2024 when theoretically I went after him. But then I quit as I started spring break going after him, ended spring break not going after him, or I did a tactical retreat Mind you, I was in my senior year of college, so understandable. But anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, the fighting, right. So, but I was very surprised because there was a lot, and so I didn't do the numbering, but I did do it now for 2024, and yeah, we're gonna go into that. But I also found this video actually is a two-parter because I noticed when I was looking up the full out wins, I noticed another sad fact that makes a lot of this just government makes so much more sense when I'm going to show you this because the data is going to show what we kind of know and what I kind of said earlier. I did a video talking about forsaking sacrifice. I think it was in the age of love. I I swear the last word tripped me up. I couldn't figure out anything. But like in that video, I talked about the fact that like no one actually cares really. Like no one everyone talks care, but they don't actually live the care. So here's the thing. Um yeah, this stuff is just going to be reinforcing it without me with actual like data to back up my claim of people kind of suck. And like we know that. And I know like everything I'm going to say like kind of saying right now, I don't know as a future state rep I should technically be saying some of this, but like my data's proving that I have license too. So, anyway, so roadmap. It's a two-parter. So first we're going to talk with so the section headings are more like primary challengers and MIA voters. So, and all data in this, I have like an Excel for it. I'm not going to actually I might post the Excel. They're pretty big. So I will post that though all of this to my Twitter. You're going to see kind of the not the data, but definitely the um how do we use this data into like something that we as people can use. But the raw data should be going onto my Twitter, or at least this stuff will go on my Twitter thread wise, because there is some states in here. It's not just Oklahoma I'm talking about today. There's 10 states: Oklahoma, Idaho, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Kansas, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee. I don't talk about the Dakotas one time because of their weird districting. They have like, for some reason, unlike Oklahoma and the other states I mentioned, they have 2 reps per one district. So kind of some of that voting I couldn't figure out. So when the second section is gonna make it all makes sense in the second section, but I don't use I only talk about them once. But yeah, that's essentially kind of the starting. So let's start with primary challengers. So we want to talk about full out wins. So now, one, how am I defining a full out win? Let's talk about that. So a full out win to me is just putting in your paperwork. And I talked about in the other video, putting in your paperwork, it's easy. It's a cashier's check, basically a proof that you are wherever you say you're an address in or what district you're in, you prove that. And then basically the filing, which it's not that real hard. You say your name, your address, yada, yada, yada. Uh, Pretty basic stuff. It took me maybe a day to do all that. And I say a day as if like a couple hours. So, but a full out victory is winning without any contestant, and that includes Democrats. A lot of this is going to focus on Republicans, but this actually doesn't. This actually won't. But it would be like, let's say, like with District 6 with District 6, Rusty Cornwell, he currently has won a seat and done about 3 full out victories, 2020, 2022, and 2024. And that one was almost sus because of this guy right here. So that's a full out victory. So now, how was I cataloging this math? So basically, the full out victory, I gave it a 1 in the Excel. So ones were yes, zeros were no's. I also did a general and a Republican primary. So if there was a general that happened in the election, it was a 1. If there was a Republican primary, it also got a 1. And that was for every race. So I had to go through this is why I'm saying the data took me a while. I had to go through every district, and, like, Texas has, like, 150, Kansas has 125, Oklahoma has 100. Like, it took me a few like, I was 10 keying my butt off. So yeah, so that's essentially how the data was compiled. I mentioned the states, and we're gonna see it. So let's show some of my as you can see here, these are full out victory totals. Oklahoma, we have 101 seats open. So these are for the state houses. I don't know if I specified that. That should have been something. So we have 43, um, 43 full out wins, 101 seats. So yeah, that's kind of high. Yeah, comparatively to because I think I stopped after Idaho one day and it was only 7 to the 70. That's not, that's 10%. That's like understandable because obviously, with full out victories or full out wins, there's going to be a few people who it's just like they're good already because they just are. And then there's other people that no one really cares to go after, which is where I think a lot of people are going to be. Like they haven't done anything bad enough to get them out of office, but they haven't done necessarily anything good enough for them to be recognized. Um, Yeah, but anyway, so this is the math. Now here's the thing. This math is kind of okay, cool. Like this is the numbering, right? But the problem is I can say look at Idaho and look at Oklahoma. Well, Idaho only has 70 seats or even like North Dakota. This should be a 48. Again, the districting map, I had to times everything by 2. South Dakota is true. North Dakota is not. This should be a 48. So this is actually bigger. 24 races were up, but 48 people were going up for election. But it's like, you take a look at Montana and us, we're the same, except Oklahoma has way more. So this is why I had to normalize the data into a percentage. So normalizing it, Oklahoma has about a 43%, Idaho at about 10, you know, like very low stuff, right? North Dakota's kind of high with a 20%, still kind of low, 7, good grief. Kansas, like what you doing? Texas, kind of, high, but not necessarily bad. Missouri, kind of in the same way. Arkansas, you're with us. Welcome to the club. And then Tennessee, 23, 23. And the average amongst all of this is about a 22 and a half. So that means, this is the percentages on like a more graphical scale. So you can see that this is the average. So anything higher than this average is you're doing more than all of these together. Now you can see in Montana and the Dakota and South Dakota and Idaho very low, barely breaking 10. And then we kind of got some higher ones with some 20, and then we have some others. But so this is so showing off, see the average. So Oklahoma, my home, you're kind of slacking here. Kansas and Arkansas, y'all also are slacking too. Kansas a little less problematic, but Arkansas, good grief. And then we go back, like again, we go back to the data though. Kansas has more seats, which makes sense that there would be maybe some more full out victories, right? So, but Kansas is equal to Oklahoma, but there's 25 extra seats. Arkansas, you're equal to us, and you almost are equal to us. And good grief. Like this to me, oops, sorry. Like I can maybe see a 20, right? I can maybe see a 20 out of 100. 20%, I can maybe see like maybe that, but like double that, come on guys. Um we also had I called it a full out win, was it advantage? I just said an A. Average ratios. So this is full out win average ratios. Basically what this is the average, it's 1-to-1 because it's doing the 22.5 divided by the 22.5. So it's basically state versus average. So, yeah, Oklahoma, we're about 2 times the average of 10 states. Mind you, 10 states is 20% of our nation. And I know for a fact Louisiana didn't even have a 2024 race because I was going to use Louisiana and then found out that there was no races in 2024. Yeah, and mind you, this is all 2024 while I'm on that. This is all 2024 elections. So this is, yesterday's. math. Again, it's almost to 2 times the ratio. Arkansas 1.75, Kansas you get into that 1.5. Everyone else needs to be probably below a 1. Tennessee is probably the only one that's like marginally okay. Texas is kind of in that zone too, but it's like you can tell North Dakota and Missouri, they're at least a little bit off, and then of course Montana being the goat because the fact that it's barely registering. It's 7 out of 70, wasn't it? Like good grief, that's good. That's 10%. 10% is marginal. That's like there was 7 people, right? It's like okay, that's a few people who are just like, well, we're gonna lose. Um, and then what was the other people? And then just some of it is we're just gonna lose, and some of it is they are good people. So that's like a understandable number. But here's why I bring this up is like actually, sorry, hold on. That's for the closer. So this is basically the data that I want to show off, at least for the beginning. So this is the full out wins that we've done. Now, ironically, hold on, making sure that I don't have anything else. I'm actually doing some other stuff too. So yeah, so that was the primary challengers, right? So there's been like 43 people in Oklahoma who have just won for appearing on the ballot, and that's Republican and Democrats. But you know, it's sad that a Democrat doesn't dare, become a bit more moderate because a Republican might eat. So let me rephrase, might beat them out of their seat. It's just interesting to me. No. Or do you like that people win elections purely for existing? So, anyways, moving on. So we're moving on to number 2 because the closer, all this will make. Let me grab the pieces and I'm gonna put it together. So, while I was there checking everything, I noticed a different problem. And that was primaries had barely any voters. But guess what was high? Not primary, sorry, not primaries. Generals. There would be, like 37,000 people that voted. And there'd be like, 20,000 Republicans. But the primary only had like 4,000 votes in total. And it's like, what? What? Like like, and I will say, where is these Republicans showing up? Now I understand a Democrat can vote for a Republican, it's a free country, you can do that, and vice versa. But my assumption would be if there is enough of like 16,000 people that are Democrats or voting for a Republican or so, I think they would vote for the Democrat. But that's just kind of an aside. So, anyways, so I did some other math later. And this is where because when I was mentioning the data about full out wins, I also it had a general and had a Republican primary. Hello? There we are. Okay. I thought Restream crashed on me for a minute. Sorry. Um, so there's this, um, sorry, she let out a gas. So what I did was if I saw a 0-1-1, which meant that a general had happened and there was a Republican primary, I went through to that district then and got the math of the election results. And so I eventually then created the care ratio, and the care ratio took the primary and the runoff, because occasionally runoffs would happen. So I took the max of that for the betterment of you. Yeah, you, yeah, you. And then and then I was able to get the votes for the primary for the Republican. And because I would assume most of that would be all give or take Republicans. So, but based on research that I'm finding, I feel like my data is actually very true and it's kind of sad. So, before we begin, I need to mention before I start showing my stuff, Now, again, I couldn't do South Dakota and Nebraska, or I couldn't do the Dakotas because they had the weird voting going on, where because it would have like two Republicans and a Democrat, and you all vote. So I don't know in the Dakotas how like do you vote twice for each seat, or is it you only vote once? Yeah, it was confusing. So I was like, I'll just omit that. Um, let's not deal with that because it's like again, I don't know. Like, okay, so total votes. Do I have to divide that by half? And it's a whole math fiasco. So we're only doing Oklahoma, Idaho, Montana, Kansas, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee again. Some red states, more or less. The reason that I did chose, I forgot maybe to say that. The reason that I chose some of these states is Idaho and North Dakota passed the um, Oberfell resolutions, which is kind of why I kept them. Why I did them first, because I assume because of that them doing that, there's something good within them. Because if you followed my Oklahoma is gay video, I talked about that. Um, so anyways, care ratio. Sorry, I'm forgetting. I'm remembering crap before I could say what I have. Care ratios. So this is like when I was doing the abortion video when I made kill ratio, I think, and that was like how much the abortionists spent compared to the pro-lifers. So this is going to be It's going to be primary slash runoff divided by total votes in the primary for the Republican, mind you, not the total votes casted, just the Republican votes. So we have Republicans who voted for the primary, for the guy in the primary, divided by the votes for the guy in the general. And yeah, I did this for House, and then I did the Senate because it kind of was fast, so I did it for that as well. And I'm just gonna show you Oklahoma, and you're gonna understand why I'm kind of yay. So this is excuse me. So this is the Oklahoma's care ratios. So as you can see, the candidates' names are on the bottom. I forgot why he has an asterisk. He has an asterisk for some reason. I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to look it up, and I kind of forgot. So, but if you look it up, maybe there's something specifically that I mentioned beforehand. But anyways, you can see this care ratio. Barely a third of people who voted in not even a third, we're not even near there. Barely a third of people in Oklahoma voted for their House rep, who also had a general election and then came back and voted for him. No, sorry, only barely a third of people voted in both the primary and the general. There we are. I think I said it right. That's sad. That's 2/3 of Republicans. And that's 2/3 of Republicans who voted. God. This is why I'm saying you. Me more. So, anyways, and why do you think I'm going like, oh man, this is so sad? Like, Maggie, why do you think I'm sad? Huh? Why do you think I'm sad? Huh? Why do you think I'm sad? Okay, Idaho was better. I would okay. Okay. But ignore Idaho. I'll come back to it. I'll go into the rant. Maybe I think one more. But look at Idaho. Look, that number, really high ones, and then you get barely a 40. You're probably in about 30. Don't worry, these will be again all on Twitter. And then I did also get a new number for all this, so don't worry about just all the graphs. But just look at that, barely 100. 100 people didn't vote in a primary. Like the idealism should be that 100 people vote in a primary and then 100 people vote for that Republican as well in the general. So, and we're going to go into that. That's in the closer. But anyways, that's Idaho. Look at Montana. That's why I said, wait, one more. Montana. Yeah. Gosh, Montana, you're actually, for just being a lot of country, you all are coming in clutch. I'm sorry, but like Montana, or is that Wyoming? That's just country, basically. But I thought Montana's, yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyways, But look at that numbering, look at that, all these races, and they all very, except for this weird guy, um, this must be a Indian, all of them getting to about, 47%, which is about halfway, give or take. That's actually, it's not great, it should be 100, right? But it's like, oh, so we got half, that's pretty good. Kansas, I was messing with you a little bit ago. Y'all are kind of same, getting to about 30%. Uh, Texas, there was a lot. Sorry, I was going to zoom it in, but Texas, there was a lot. We're getting what 35, or actually, I don't need to show this. Why am I doing math? Sorry. We have Missouri. Missouri did, you know, stuff. Arkansas, very low races. I also did this of the just 2024, mind you. So like it was, and they had to have the condition. Not only was it a 2024, blah, blah, blah. Not only was it a 2024 election, but it also had a general and have to have a primary. Those two things, and this is Republican. So there has been multiple constraints put on this, and I was able to basically almost every time well, actually, take out almost all with an asterisk, because Arkansas is the only one later that I'll have to get into. Not this one later, but you can see, the numbers are kind of low, barely breaching 55, barely breaching 35 for Tennessee, and so this is kind of the average of all the woo. So Oklahoma, or actually, sorry, let me stop there. Again, I told you this was fully math. A lot of math went on. I am sorry, and also not, because I found a buttload of data. But you can see Oklahoma, our care rate for the House, kind of low. Tennessee, same. Idaho, good, just not great. Arkansas, same. Montana, gosh, good grief, I like that. 50%, that's yummy. That's definitely being censored. No, it's not, but I'll leave it there. I did feel like Homelander after doing that. Kansas, Texas, Missouri kind of still need to do better. But anyways, sorry, I realize I have this kind of out of whack. So anyway, so this is the Oklahoman. I meant to take two of these. Sorry. We're gonna ignore the bottom data for right now. So the average house care ratios, Oklahoma, only about a quarter of people who voted in the general voted in the primary. That's kind of sad. And what's worse is Tennessee's behind us. Montana, again, 52%. That's basically like doubled up. Whoever voted in the primary was double in the election. Now, mind you, when I say it was, sorry, I think I screwed up. I accidentally said something wrong. House ratios is the total votes within the House race. Primary divided how much the candidate finally got in the general. So it's total votes of the House race. Yeah, total. So the total votes of the Republican primary divided by how many the Republican got in the general. So, yeah, because these numbers would be way lower if that be the case. Now I know in Montana there was I thought there was one race that was 500 people voted, and then 1,100 people voted for the other guy. Um, so okay, fine, I understand why Montana's a bit smaller, but that doesn't really screw the fact that voting's your national duty, or your civic duty, and your state being your home. Maybe you don't. Like, you lock your doors, don't you? You protect your home. Are you not going to protect this one? So, anyways, so that's the House. You saw the Senate was there too. Again, I hate to be doing these kind of jury videos, but y'all aren't exactly debunking what I was talking about and how government kind of sucks for one reason. And actually, funny enough, we're continuing that in the closer. So, welcome to the state Senate races. Again, barely covering 35. Getting to 670 and 1. So, Jim, your people are very good at coming in clutch. But again, barely getting to 52 in Idaho. Montana, again, these were just Senate races. So, again, the other chamber, right? The other chamber. Do we care about the other chamber? I don't know. You barely crossed 60, Montana. Kansas, you barely got 41. Okay, and this is one where I said Texas. This one's kind of sus, because there's only one. So saying that, only 11 whatever percent care for Texas, there was only one race. So that is kind of okay. This is like the only time. This is like the only value that kind of screws up stuff. I won't deny. I will be fair that will screw up with math theoretically. 42%. Missouri. You love killing babies now. And I can say that because 52% of you voted for that amendment. I remember that number because I did a video about that too. I love that all these videos are actually connecting. It's very weird, and I didn't intend it that way. But Missouri, barely 42, covering all except for Joe Nicola. You had some voters slack off on you. Tennessee, barely 31. Okay. Sorry, I'm going through that numbering fast because we have these. So again, Arkansas didn't have a race, because there was no races. So Arkansas is on its own. But again, we see Montana, coming in clutch at 50%. I'm not moving to Montana, but like, I love that the people in Montana give a shit. um, So what was it? Oklahoma, Idaho, yeah, Tennessee. Idaho, you're doing pretty good. Missouri, good. Comparatively, you're doing good. I say you're doing good. Comparatively, you're doing good. Texas, again, Texas, there was only one guy, so the fact that it's only like a 12%, understandable. But some of these others, Texas had over, or not Texas. Which one had a buttload of? Wasn't there one with a buttload of people? Kansas was pretty good. Idaho was a lot. Yeah, Idaho had a lot. Um, excuse me. Yeah, and Idaho got to about 40%. So, maybe Idaho cares about their state as well. Now, let me be fair. I will say, just because you don't vote, actually, never mind. I did denounce that very quickly. So, yes, this is what I need to bring up. Sorry. My stuff is very filled with just all of these graphs, so going through all this was weird. So again, we were looking at the house, right? And so this was all the numbers. Same down here. Arkansas doesn't get a number because it didn't do anything. So this number is sorry, I forgot this number. This number is the average of all of these. So this means about 35%. So that means 10% difference between us and Oklahoma, and the average of all 8. This one was divided by 7. That dash just means no number. So thus, Excel divides it by 7. I did the math myself to validate. And so about give or take a third of people, again, numbers coming in that potentially a third of people vote in their general, also vote in their primary, which was also what I also was looking up other stuff for what I'm going to talk about next, to kind of like bring this all together. It was about the same number. They were saying about a third of people do it, and I'm sad because, it's a civic duty. Everyone should do it if you actually care. Because I can tell you there's a lot of people that kind of complain about the government. You're kind of missing ample opportunity to, I don't know, fix it. Just saying. Um so yeah. Now, so that's all the data. We're done with data. Congrats, you reached to this far in the vid. So, I had to look up though, because there was numbers, or I had to look up. Okay, well, how many people don't vote, and like what's the voting like? So, according to the Pew, who did research, which I kind of was able to somewhat validate its number. Um, so we have here, sorry, this is from the Pew study recording from the 2018, 2020, and 2022 elections. So, yeah, most American, about a third of Americans love their country and vote in their elections as they should. A third of them kind of slack up, and the third, being the 12, 8, 8, and 5, kind of slack off here and there because they can. And then we have a third that, yeah, don't. Yeah, that this is not good. That no. So this means if you came up to 3 random Americans, one of them votes in every election, one of them slacks off whenever he wants to, and the third, he doesn't even answer his question. He doesn't even answer the question. He just walks away because that's what he does when he's for election day. That's when on November he doesn't answer questions. Um, so, and that's bad, right? Like that's bad. A third of people. So, like, on an average election, about two-thirds of people actually vote if a voting age, and a third don't. That's basic. I can say that with that Pew study. Basically, it says that for every election, give or take, if I combine the bottom percentages, let me show that again. Sorry. So if I combine like this bottom section as a section of, I kind of leave. I don't do voting all the time. So this is voting in every election. This is voting in none, and this is every other. So this is like I somewhat always vote in every election. This is I vote in every election, and this is voting with a question mark. So, but again, that's sad. And so there's a video I did with Trent Horn, and he was talking about the Pew study. I was actually able to though validate kind of the Pew study briefly. Um, so in let me show this. I think this was from AP. I think I forgot to write it down. But so we were looking at the presidential election. So about nine, supposedly in the voting age population or just voting population, 30%, 36% didn't vote, which is about 90% of, or 90 million Americans. Yeah, 90 million Americans wouldn't matter in an election. Do you see how many Trump votes he has? This is 77 million. I'm not saying that because you're blind. I'm saying that because it's 77 million. If every one of y'all slackers, and I can say that, voted at the same time in an idealist situation, voted for the same candidate, y'all could get that candidate in. Yeah. And so I was able with that math, I kind of did report. So I had to do I did quick math. Sorry, hold on. There we are. A quick math. So about 36% of 90, so it's about 250 million voters per se. Because this is about 100 and I think this was about 155 million voters. Yeah, 155 million voters. So adding the 90 gets about 250, give or take. Gets maybe about 250. So yeah, just sadness. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Yeah. So a lot of you ain't voting. So I looked up briefly. Oh, sorry, I'm not done. So we looked also on the voting age. So the registered voters, there's about 161. So that is, I believe, almost two-thirds of the voting population. So that means for those of you that don't vote, you also don't register. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed, and not to sound like a dad, but like I'm kind of disappointed. Like a lot of people care, and it maybe I care too much, but I'm like voting is like it literally is a day. Like in the other video, I complained that it's like most of these problems will take, decades to solve and that most people only give a day. For crying out loud, some of you can't even give the day. Sorry. Again, I'm disappointed, but I am disappointed too much. So anyway, but I looked up also, I found this Axio article later in 2020, reasons that you wouldn't be voting. You're not interested, which is just like the most odd answer. I don't even know like how to respond to that. And about supposedly like 2.3 million Americans would vote if they became interested. I'm sorry, but government kind of does impact your life. I'm not going to like the government does your taxes. The taxes are in your paycheck. You work probably. You kind of have to vote. Don't like the candidate or campaign issues. Actually, we're gonna go into this a bit more because I have a different section. But anyways, but I love the other or don't know. How do you not? the- the fact that you don't know kind of suggests that maybe you just are indecisive or brain dead. That's why you don't vote. I mean that with all pleasantries that I can. I just realized that kind of does sound a little bit of a dickish. But to be fair, a third of you ain't voting. Sadness. Again, I'm disappointed, and I wish I wasn't. So, anyways, so that's all I'm gonna show, but or at least for now. But I find it funny because I looked up the reasons, and some of the reasons were like candidate not worth the vote. Okay, but they do a job like make them worthy. Like if they're not worthy of your vote, well, tough luck. You kind of need a vote. Like again, civic duty. It's not really a choice in the matter. Candidates are sorry. Um, my notes and what I need to say are going to be two different things. Candidates are I can't say that either. Um, candidates are unworthy people. I'm just gonna say it. People are dicks. That's kind of what is in my notes. Funny enough, um, yeah, it's just they're not worthy. People don't like. I saw in articles people were like, "Yeah, I don't like Trump, but I don't like Kamala either because she's pro Palestine." It's like I just can't comprehend this. I literally can't. I'm like, why? Like, and then there were people. It's like, oh, the process doesn't work, bro. You don't even participate in the process. What are you talking about? Like the process doesn't work, bro. You ain't even putting it like, yeah, this is like complaining old gears ain't moving, bro. You're not even connected to the gear chain. Do I seem mad? I'm sorry. I'm trying to remain cool. What's the other one? Oh, party polarization. Again, what does that even mean? Oh, I don't like how we're becoming fractured. That's kind of how nations spurned up. uh, and then the worst one, especially in my own life, and this one was kind of depressing, is that it's a low priority in your life. Oh, sorry, not that. Sorry, different low priority. It's a low priority because the elections barely have anything on it. So why would people vote? Like because in the generals and in a presidential election, you vote for your president, and so you think it's something, but you're not really going to go to the primary that only has the what was it that when I did it? It was a department. No, it wasn't a department. There was my county treasurer. No, my county assessor, something of that ilk, and then my city commissioner. That was all in my primary. Not even joking. I drove in, and there was only two things for me to vote on, and then I was done. General, there was like 50 other things. But see, this is the problem though, is because good grief, I need to sneeze, but I can hold it. So now, why do I bring this up? Why do I bring up that specific primary? It's the one that I would have been in. There would have been city commissioner No, labor commissioner. It was a labor commissioner. Sorry, coming in clutch, and the county job, and then it was gonna be me. 3 things. You know how many people would bail because it's like, oh, a county thing, which, eh, the state, uh, labor of commission or labor commissioner, labor dude, and then me. You really, I cannot like hell. I said this in a tweet one time. I said right after I voted, I was like, yeah, I don't even know if I should have voted. But guess what? I did. But it turns out some of you don't. Citizens are less likely to vote if they don't think their ballot matters. You know who thinks your ballot matters in that race where it only has 2 to 3 things? The primary challenger like myself. I care that you vote because let's face it, many people will vote for their incumbents if they haven't really done anything of problems. And I know for a fact, and I'm going to say this, and I say for a fact, I have high suspicions that I am more conservative than most conservatives, evident with Trump and everything else. Yeah, you're going to be voting it. I'm going to lose purely because no one will do probably their research. Um, because they'll just be like, I'm a new guy. And that's the struggle right there is I'm a new guy. And see, here's the thing. That 15% that's supposedly in that article, that 15% changes leads. Now, again, assuming that's, straight 15, right? But, that 15%, especially in local somewhat elections, especially in District 6, which is kind of somewhat rural, it's a big area. You want to know how big? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that big. It's got Ulaga Lake to the left of it. That's what takes in like a whole chunk of it. And then there's like Talala, Adair. It goes all the way to Veneta. Um, yeah, it's a big encompassing area. It would probably be like a 2 some odd hour drive. Um, you know what? I'm gonna look that up just quick. Hold on. We're gonna do Google Maps real quick. Hold on. I am going to Veneta's like the top, right? Because it was in the corner more or less. So if I how good grief, dog! I heard that fart, and she stunk it up the other night. It was very gross. It's an hour. Okay, so it's not as bad as I thought it was. um, yeah, but it's an hour. But hold on, let me change the city. What if? Hold on, wasn't there? Not it was on this list, isn't it? Not if it wasn't, I'm sorry. Oh, 40 minutes. Okay, it's an hour. It's a big area, though. It is a big area. Or at least I thought it was. It looks like a big area, I should say. Which, good grief. I guess it wasn't that bad. I've been thinking. It seems like a big area. It's a big chunk of Oklahoma. I won't deny. It is comparatively to the rest of the districts. It is very large, because it needs a lot of people. So that's why I say I care about that, right? Because someone like myself, who's young and who's doesn't really have anything to his name yet, uh, it's very hard to win an election when you have kind of nothing other than my word and my spunky attitude and the fact that occasionally I sound like a smartass. But that's not going to survive to some people, especially because probably more than likely the boomers or slash Gen X are voting more than Gen Z. And I also saw that too. Gen Z doesn't vote comparatively to the older generations. And part of that is because I think some of Gen Z is focused on working. That's where they spend election day, right? But again, I'm only asking for 2 days, 2 to 3 days. The third is for like a runoff potentially, but at least minimum of 2 days. I'm asking for 2 days, 2 days, primary and a general. It's 2 days. For crying out loud, I live in Oklahoma. It's a Baptist stronghold. I know you Baptists don't have holy days of obligation. Catholics, we do, and well, do. And I say do because there's a lot of people that don't show up to those, but show up to Sunday Mass. And then there are some people who show up for Easter, wink, wink, and then I won't see them Sunday, even though it's Divine Mercy Sunday. And Easter is a season, it's not a day. But I don't mean to turn this into a religious fight, but I'm just gonna say, y'all will show up to Wednesday church. Could I have you one day in July and August and November? Could I have one day for a few hours? And like I understand, like I think Trump said at one time he was going to make November like a holiday, which I would say that would help because there was a lot of people that say if they can't get off work, so it's like, well, we cancel all work. Here's the thing. It's on a Tuesday. I know for a fact that some of you are going to take Monday off and have a 4-day weekend. Or you're going to take out Friday and have 5 days. I know that some of y'all are going to do that because some of y'all are pricks. I can tell that because I drive on Oklahoma roads and 169 is a death trap. Sorry. Again, it riles me up. This riles me up because it's the same issue. The same issue from the other video of care and like sacrifice to actually like do what's right. Like even with speeders on 169, there's a bunch of low speeders. I had a guy, I was on a service road. He passed me with a two solid yellow lines. He passed me and went past super speed past me. What was funny is we literally landed practically in the same spot if he just waited. It's just he didn't want to go 35. So, anyways, now what? So I'm kind of getting into my closer / sandbox. Sorry, but this is why I say, like, hence the anomaly. I'm very much not a politician, and I never intended to be. The only reason I am is because we got problems, and problems need solutions, and I can think of solutions, and I know I can activate these solutions because I'm actually going to be a stick in someone's ass. Isn't that right, Max? Oh, she's asleep. She's out. Okay, so let me finish this then. So, because I kind of hinted at it before, but it's like many of us complain about the system or the swamp. Well, you're going to get the same people because, a lot of people aren't even running for office. And that's also why I've been hammering on since I've been starting the channel for more political zone. We need new candidates. We need fresh blood. And this is where Gen Z, I need you to clutch up your balls because I know some of you have them. You're male. I need you to use them and use the power that's in them and join me in this fight. Join me in retaking your state. I'm not even saying all Oklahoman guys need to join me. I would love 99 other guys, 100 other guys, there's 101 seats, 100 other guys to join me. And if anyone touches District 6, you are going down. And I hold no punches. But it's really hard to say, well, we need to change how the system or the swamp is. When you keep electing the swamp, it's like getting mad that you your car is getting pooped on by the birds. You're parked under a street light. What do you think is going to happen? But again, there's no counters. These people can do whatever they want. Like in District 6, Rusty Cornwell. Who's he to fear? Well, he has to fear me. But let's put it this way. He's won for, 8 years now. He'll be fighting for his 9th and 10th year. And you know how I know, though, that there hasn't been any encounters? This. The math. The math that proves no one competes against the incumbents. I had one state rep tell me that, and I think that's complete bullcrap. I don't understand why you don't go after an incumbent just because he's an incumbent, because he kind of more or less said something of that ilk. It's been a while since the conversation, but I don't see why an incumbent shouldn't be fought after. Like even with myself, if I win, sorry, let me rephrase. When I win District 6, I'm not going if someone was to challenge me in the next 2 years, go ahead. Like, I need to be held accountable. Like, if I did really do screw the pooch, if that was an accident, well, that's an accident. But if I'm just a lazy prick, well, that's another. If I'm advancing stuff that's very conservative, problem being it's very conservative and thus nothing actually gets passed, kind of that is it my fault that I can't get past the legislation, or is it the fact that 100 other people are against me? Just you have to you can't just assume it's a me issue. But here's the problem. I talk about these other young guys. Young guys, I need you. I need you to fight right here, right now. I don't need you tomorrow. I need you today. And a lot of you are of voting age, and a lot of you can run for state rep. I was able to run at 22 going into 23. Some of you can run at 21. Y'all can do it. And like some of you don't even think, some of you are very glum. Get over it. And I say that not in get over, let me rephrase. I don't say get over it. Deal with it is the better word. So the world isn't how it should be, and everything's against us, and that, you know, interest rates are high. You won't get a house, and Panda Express gives you 90,000. It will give you like $80,000, and it's basically a full time job. And you actually, your college degree is worthless, and yada yada yada, and you're being replaced with H-1B workers. Okay, well, what are you going to do about it? You gonna sit on your ass? I tell you, literally, if you follow my Twitter, this is going to be a constant theme. Some of y'all aren't happy with Vivek, which I will be fair. I don't like Vivek. I thought he was slimy before, and then I learned the drug thing. Now, whether or not that's true, but let's put it this way: he seems a little bit slimy, and it was way during the primary. He was the same way. I got that same vibe off him. So this isn't a new thing, but it's like, okay, great. He's polling high in Ohio's governor race. Is there going to be a Gen Z guy or anyone who wants to go after him that is actually more conservative than him? Because Vivek talks a lot of talk, and that's kind of going to be the issue, is that there's a lot of talk. But it's like, what are you going to do? Are you just going to let him in? Or are you going to make him fight for it? He might win. Cool. But he had to spend a lot more time on that race than he was probably intending. But here's the problem that I have. I'm talking to these Gen Z guys. I want you all to fight with me, right? I want you all to fight with me. Fight for the political seats, so then we can move the government in how it should be. A proper government that one, we have a people that are free, but free to do the best good, right? Because freedom isn't just do whatever the hell you want, because that's very libertarian, one, and two, I'm pretty sure libertarian, and two, very much not Christian, Catholic, and everything else maybe under the sun. But this is where I will give you credence, the Gen Z guys who feel like the world is against you. I have to take a drink because allergies are ripping my throat apart, and I'm almost an hour into this. I'm sorry. I'm asking you to join a fight that you may not even win, because that's where the rest of you come into clutch. And I do mean, and I do mean you. You wanna go back and see why? Y'all aren't in primaries. How can they beat the incumbent if you don't vote them in to get past? That is probably the biggest hurdle, honestly. Is going to be within the very same party, is to prove that you are the best Republican to be the nominee for the district or whatever. That's probably going to be the hardest battle that they will have to face, that I will have to face. For crying out loud, as I was saying with Cornwell, he hasn't had a he hasn't had anyone go against him since 2018, and that was a Democrat. I'm going after him as his first Republican, and that's probably going to be my only hurdle, potentially, dependent on if, no one else decides to go after him. But that's going to be the hurdle, is trying to take him out by proving I'm more conservative, which I am, but we'll move on from that. But that is gonna be the fight, and that fight, though, is gonna be up to you. Voters, constituents, that's on you to be there. If you wanna change the system and you believe in the guys who wanted to change the world to make it better, then you're gonna have to be with them too. Candidates and catechumens. Ah. I'm so Catholic, damn. Sorry, it's Easter. It's during that time. Gosh. Sorry. It's an hour into this. But oh man, I really am Catholic with that. I said catechumens and immediately I was like, I know that's wrong. But your candidates, how good can they do if the constituents aren't there to back them up? What power do these reps have if you do not give it to them? They are your reps. So defend them as they defend you in the House. The government is only as good as the voters and only as good as the candidates. And the voters are only as good as the candidates they produce in. It's a symbiotic relationship that we got going on currently. And that is why I said this video is totally necessary. And I'm hopefully that all of you are going to be here for an hour. I am sorry. I did not intend an hour. I thought this would be like a 30-minute thing. I won't deny. Um, but I got in my soapbox a little bit more than I wanted to. But again, it's just this is what I'm saying. You know, we can't complain about the system. We can complain that the government sucks, and we do, right? That's why we elected Trump, right? But Trump's only one guy. He's out of terms now. So who's going to be your savior, right? And I know a lot of people say Jesus Christ, and yeah, good for you. Yeah, but more not morally. There's a, I'm trying to think of the world temporarily. No, that's earthly. Yeah, who's going to save the government, right? Because Christ didn't come. Christ came, you know, but he didn't free the Jews from Rome. Well, I guess he did, but not how they intended, right? Not like Moses came in or um was it no Elijah? Yeah, Elijah was like a warrior. That's yeah, because Moses was the law. Because there's the whole thing with the transfiguration and they show up, and I thought Moses was supposed to be like the law, and then Elijah was supposed to be like a warrior, where there was semblance of those, and then God's basically saying like how he would free his people is actually through his son with the sacrifice and um, everything else. I'm streamlining a lot of it's been a while. This was like when I was going through RCA like 5 years ago. So, but anyways, so again, the cycle. Let me draw it. Let me draw it for those of you that it's like new. So again, we need if we got new candidates, we need large voters to bring us in. So anyways, that is really the closer. Is that we need to do all of us. Unless that you're that 1/3 that votes in every election, in which case, take a W tonight. And for the rest of you, some of you need a kick in the ass if you're missing a few elections, if you're missing an election here and there. And for those of you that just don't vote, um, yeah, how about you start voting and participate in the system? Because the system is going to participate with you. Again, like, and the reason I say that is kind of in the same way as people say, like, "Oh, I don't get political and like I don't really care about politics." Yeah, politics cares about you. You're going to be brought in because you are under the authority of the government. Um, whether you like it or not, you probably if you're an American, you live in a state. You're under the authority of that state, and then under the authority of the federal government. Congrats. You're gonna need to get involved. You're gonna have to know stuff. So Anyways, I think that will do me. Again, if you like the video, let me know. Sorry this is a bit highly mathematical, at least in the beginner chunk, and then it kind of gets sandboxy a bit. Sorry about that. But other than that, again, yeah, I said just hit the sub. There should be before or after a Trent Horn video with a raw impressions where I reacted to his crap. Protestantism is winning video. Excuse me, good grief. And how I kind of disagree with that. So you can click that up. I'm doing one later to cover up Trump's 100 days. So I'm going to be going through that. I will say that that is also a bit mathematical. Don't worry, it's pretty easy. It's basically me doing a decision matrix, more or less. So, other than that, I think that is it. I'm Eli Richard of District 6, for those of you that are in my area. And yeah, I think that's it. So good night, and you want to say anything? Oh, sorry, my hand's in the way. You want to say anything? No? Yeah, she's a good girl. Okay, well, good night, all. And please vote. And I'm tired purely because it's 5 here. But please vote. Please do your do your duty as voters and/or as citizens of your state. And for my Gen Z boys, it's time we conquer every place. We take what we can. I know some of us are still not even in our 30s, but let's take all the places. I want 100 guys with me in 2026. I want 100 guys, every district except for District 6. I want one guy. I want one Gen Z guy who thinks we can do the job. Except for some of those guys. To be fair, some of the guys are good. I know Representative Olson did the Crisis King statement from Oklahoma, so he seems pretty chill too. I've seen him on some stuff, so he is in District, I think, 2. You can leave him alone. So I need 99 guys. I need 99 guys. I need all of you to go after the Democrats, to go after some lukewarm Republicans, to go after maybe some conservatives who are very wrong on some issues, like IVF. So anyways, good night, goodbye, hit the sub. I'm pretty sure that's it. Good night, goodbye. So long.